guys? Welcome to an episode of Magical Warfare. In this episode, we get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what was good about this episode? What was good about this episode was that we finally get to know what is going on with, the Ruin World and what was, this whole situation with the ghost trailers trying to kill all the, humans. Excuse me. Anyway. We get to learn that basically this Ruin World came about 15 years ago. There was a great war between all the mages of the world. And apparently the factions were split up into the Coalition versus the Ghost Trailers, who wanted to kill basically all the humans. They fought each other, and then the Ghost Trailers leader casted a spell to annihilate all the humans, and it ended up destroying the world. And to stop this, the Coalition split the world into two, so that one world got destroyed and the other world was completely fine. And then following this up, another great magician casted a spell on the real world, the world that's not destroyed, and made it so that if you cast a spell on another magician in the real world, you get basically, I don't know what the hell that was, like your soul essence, chopped out of your body. So that is the situation between the Ruin World, the real world, and why the mages are still fighting each other. So they're still fighting each other, but now it can only be fought in the Ruin. Also, what's interesting, the ancestral magic, you have to use kind of like a trinket or some sort of charm. They call it an aspect, but I like calling it a charm because it's basically just an item you use to focus your, mental focus and use your powers correct. Now, what was bad about this episode? What was bad about this episode? There wasn't anything really that bad. I mean, you could still say the gripes are that the characters are a little bit cliche, but they seem to be well-rounded cliche. So that kind of dimensionality to this series is, I would say, a bit. It's very common. You find this a very common theme in anime where you have these kind of characters always interacting, maybe different setting, maybe different, world and interactions. The relationships might be a little bit different through each episode, but we kind of see this in a lot of animes. This kind of dimensionality where you have a high school guy, super average, some friend, doesn't matter what it is, some stereotype of friend, and then you have a love interest, and you also have a some girl who just appears in his life and kind of has this friction between him and the love interest. So that kind of dimensionality has always been explored in anime, and that I could see that putting some people off to this series just because they've seen it so many times before. Animation-wise, a little bit choppy towards the end, especially when he was taking that gun sword. That power-up scene, I don't know, it looked like they either changed the animation style or they did just drop the quality just because of they had to save up for the next episode. That's the only bad thing about this. We also get to see a little bit, there's a little bit of a contradiction here in my mind right now, because if magicians are created by summoning magic, if magicians are created by getting hit or being in contact with magic, then why isn't everyone a magician? That begs the question. If you think about it, magic is like some sort of crazy-ass virus. It's a virus. The minute it touches you, you become a magician. You have no choice. It's like no one has resistance to it. Unless you're like an old man or something like that. So, that's a question mark, because if there are magicians before and they casted magic, literally, I would think, the whole generation, all the kids would eventually get all infected, and then, everyone would become, a magician at some point in their life. And then their kids will become magicians because they have magic, so they just pass it down along the lines until everyone's a magician. So that's a question mark, I guess. It's not that much of a... It doesn't have to even be answered. It's just I'm wondering why that's not the case. And I'm also wondering, when that magician casted that spell on the Earth, to prevent people from using magic in the real world, wouldn't that make everyone magicians? Think about it. If everyone gets, doesn't that mean everyone got, hit by magic? The whole world got, a worldwide spell got casted on the world. Why isn't everyone affected by that? I guess maybe it's retroactive, so it only affects people who actually use magic, but still, it's a magical spell wrapped around the Earth, and people live on the Earth, so why aren't they all affected? Because now they're all in contact with magic. So what's going on with that? little bit of explanation needed, at least a little bit of clue as to why not everybody, not all the kids have just, suddenly woke up to have superpowers. Little bit of a question mark. A little bit of a question mark. As for the ending for this, the ugly, we get to see someone get slaughtered. We get to see someone get completely, annihilated. Like, near the end, some woman from the Ghost trailers just completely wiped out the Wizards Bracers. So the Wizards Bracers is one of those organizations that were against the Ghost trailers. And they also host Academy. So the Wizard Bracers also host Academy. But I mean, it's like one-sidedly strong girl at the end complaining that she had to kill all those people, and another guy also supposedly very strong talking about their once glorious leader who's apparently fallen to a slumber after using that earth-shattering spell that killed everyone and split the world into two. So we have to see probably the next villains for like the next, I would say, 20 episodes. And I'm curious as to whether she is the one who is the previous owner of Takeshi's sword. Because we know that Takeshi's sword used to have a woman owner. And then we cut to a scene where we see a woman basically killing everybody. So the question is there a connection? Did they purposely connect those scenes so you can think, oh, sword, previous owner, girl, kill everybody. This girl might be the owner because she looks like someone who could do crazy ass shit. And the sword seems to be indicating at a crazy ass owner. So I'm what's going on there? And if it is true, why did she drop her sword? I mean, why would she just abandon her sword? Maybe she got a better trinket or something. But I mean, still, it's the sword that she used through the whole war. So that's a bit of a it's an interesting way to. We could probably see more of that and maybe learn more about who the other guy is, the guy with the white hair and tuxedo, who that guy is as well. Probably just a henchman, just a minion, high-level minion, maybe a mini-boss of some sorts. But, I mean, what kind of spells can he use? What's his aspect? And I'm kind of curious now that we learned about all these ancestral aspects, 6 types of magic, destruction, corporal, black magic, a bunch of them, evasion. Let me see if I can name all of them. So what I got? Black magic, evasion, destruction, blah blah. Goodness gracious, illusion, corporal. I don't know if I said that already. And acceleration. So those are the 6 types of magic. I probably can't name them again, but I just named them for the first time, and hopefully as we go along, I'll remember them more justly. So those are the 6 types of magic. What magic does he use, and are the ancestral magics different per person? I mean, is it like each one is like a Pokemon, and they only have, is it like an element to their powers, or is it like they have specific traits that only they get? Like if you're an accelerator, all accelerators can just accelerate some sort of item or magic power. Like they can all use the same abilities. It's not like each one is unique. So I'm wondering if they're all unique or if all of them are kind of like the same. It's kind of like Pokemon where you have all fire types. All fire types can use all fire moves, and all water types can use all water moves. That's something that I am curious to see if they explore that a bit more. What is the difference between each mage? And what is real magic? Like, what is real magic? Like, they're talking about ancestral magic. Ancestral magic is magic based on your personality. So what is, real magic? Like, magic everyone can use. Like, is that just fireballs and, I don't know, Harry Potter, some spell? I don't know. I can't remember Harry Potter spells, but I have it tipping my tongue. Expedosis or something. I can't say it correctly. But, something like that. Unique? What is real magic? And why is everyone not a magician if someone casts a magic spell on the entire world? Like, what is going on with that thing? And then also probably later on we might see in this series, since someone casted a spell on the world to prevent people from using magic, that means you can infer this, that if you're a strong enough mage, you can cancel that spell. You can cancel that spell because if a mage made it, a mage can destroy it. So you can cancel that spell, and eventually, maybe later on in this series, we're going to find the fights in the Rune world are going to transfer to the real world. It's like a gradual progression. I can kind of see that going. And maybe then when they get back to the real world and they're using magic and stuff, their friends and families will get up in the mix and they'll start, being confused. And maybe there'll be more people there they have to save, like new magicians are getting infected. So they have to guide them and let them know, hey, this is a war, people are dying, run away. Or at least how to use their magic. So that's something that could be really interesting as we go along, is if the fighting moves on to the real world, how is that dynamic going to work? And if it does, will nations get involved? I might be thinking too deeply about this, but this anime can get really crazy. You can see it coming. This anime can get really crazy if it decides to go the route of going to the real world, and then maybe getting the nations involved, maybe even getting military weapons involved. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of dynamics that can go into this series at this moment. Full of possibilities. Full of possibilities. Alright, so that's my review of episode 2 of Magical Warfare. See you guys next time.